Okay, are we ready to start?
Go for it.
Okay, I just want to remind everybody that we have a new porn addiction work group which starts tomorrow. So if you or someone you care about is struggling with porn addiction, you should sign up today.
You can find that on the seekingintegrity.com site under online lectures and workshops. And the sex addiction one for November 3rd is posted there as well. So both of those are opportunities for you to do that. Now, Scott, why don't you tell just a little bit about what the difference is between the porn addiction and the sex addiction, and why this new version has been so helpful?
Sure. A lot of people whose primary sexual behavior surrounds porn were not feeling at home in a room labeled sex addiction. It's the same reason Porn Addicts Anonymous has sprouted up. And more people, their primary sexual behavior is pornography. There are some modest differences in the addictions, and there are some modest differences in the way we recover from those addictions. And there's a huge difference in the way that the guys in my porn group talk about their problems versus the way my guys in the sex addiction group talk about their problems. So if your primary problem is porn, we have done a group for you, and the guys who are in this class are so grateful and they really feel at home. But if you have larger issues, by all means, the sex addiction work group is for you. So anyway, so let's talk about infidelity though. Sorry, David's not here tonight, so you get me, and I'm going to talk about a topic that he and I have never ever discussed, or not necessarily not discussed, but not specifically addressed as a topic in our webinars, which is what is infidelity? Infidelity, cheating, adultery, whatever we want to call it. It used to be if you had sex with someone else, you cheated, and that was infidelity. But the world does not operate that way anymore. As we increasingly live our lives online or in a digital world, the definition of infidelity has gotten kind of murky. Is pornography cheating? Well, it depends on your relationship. If you and your partner have agreed that pornography is fine, no, it doesn't constitute it cheating. But most people think pornography is cheating, or at least most of the people who aren't looking at it consider it cheating. Is webcamming a form of cheating? Does it matter if you've got your clothes on while you're webcamming? Does it matter if, do you have to be masturbating while you're webcamming? Does it matter if the other person's half a world away and you'll never meet them? Well, what if you're flirting and they're half a world away and you'll never meet them? There are all sorts of gradations here. What about social media? If I'm flipping through Instagram, it's not porn, but people use Instagram like porn. Let's be real, that's what Instagram is. It's sexy pictures. Is Instagram cheating? Is chatting with an ex on Facebook cheating? Is looking up an ex on Facebook cheating? What if I have a hookup profile? What if I have Ashley Madison on my phone, but I never intend to hook up with anybody? I just like to play with it and see who's there and see what's on offer, but I don't ever want to hook up. Does that count as cheating? What if I don't have a profile on Ashley Madison? I just have access to everyone else's. Does that count as cheating? These are really gray areas. Strip clubs cheating? Most people would say, yeah, of course. But then, what if I'm a businessman and my job is to wine and dine, potential clients, and they all decide they want to go to the strip club? Am I cheating if I take them to a strip club? Okay. Is flirting with someone other than my partner cheating? Is it okay for me to touch the waitress on the arm while I order? Do I have to have actual vaginal penetration for cheating? This goes back to the Bill Clinton days. I did not have sex with that woman. Yeah, Bill, you kind of did. But he thought because, it wasn't penis into a vagina sex that he hadn't had sex with her, and that was his excuse. But if you actually have sex, but you don't have an orgasm, does it count as cheating? What if I don't know their name? Does it count as cheating? All of these questions, it's a real gray area brought about by our changing world. So Dr. Rob Weiss, along with a couple of others, he did a study. Excuse me. The study was actually female partners of male sex addicts, but what they wanted to find out a bunch of things. And first and foremost, they were looking to see, is there a difference between online behaviors and real world behaviors when it comes to cheating? And what they found was no. The answer is no, there is no difference. It hurts the same either way. So whether I'm sleeping with a neighbor or I'm webcamming, with somebody who lives 100 miles away, but we're mutually masturbating, it hurts the betrayed partner the same either way. And the reason is the pain of infidelity is less about what I do and more about the lies and the secrets and the breach of relationship trust. Intimate relationships are intimate. They're trusting. Tami is if Tami and I are in a relationship, she is the one person who will never hurt me. And I am the one person who will never hurt her. And if I go out and she finds out I'm webcamming or strip clubbing or whatever it is I'm doing, it's like I stuck a knife in her back and twisted and twisted and twisted. And it's less about what I did and more about the fact that I worked so hard to keep it secret. She will start to question everything I've ever said and everything I've ever done. And did you ever even love me at all? That time we went out to Napa and we had a great time and we made love under the olive tree. Were you with me or were you with some fantasy in your head? This is what hurts. That pain, the pain of losing trust, is more than the pain of what I did. So Dr. Robb and his compatriots came up with a definition of infidelity based on that research. And what they said was infidelity is the keeping, I don't have it here right in front of me, the exact wording, but it's the keeping of important romantic or sexual secrets from your primary romantic partner. So if I'm keeping anything secret from Tami that she ought to know about my sex life, I'm cheating. So, now notice this definition doesn't talk about strip clubs. It doesn't talk about affairs. It doesn't talk about anything. It talks about secrets. If I'm keeping any of my behaviors secret from Tami, I am cheating on Tami. We are not in a relationship, by the way. I'm just using her as my example.
This is true.
So yeah, it's not about affairs. It's not about clubs. It's not about hookup apps or webcams or pornography, any of this stuff. It's about lying and keeping secrets and manipulating and gaslighting and all these other things that are attached to that we do to keep our behavior secret. I don't want you to know about it, so I'm keeping it secret. And oh, by the way, if I don't want you to know about it, it's probably cheating. Dr. Robb will often tell people, and it's men are like, oh, well, I just don't want to tell her. I don't want to hurt her. You're hurting her by not telling her, number one. And number two, or why should I tell her? She doesn't care if I look at porn. Have you discussed it with her? Maybe you should discuss it. If she says it's okay, then guess what? It's okay. But you're not telling her because she's going to say, no, I'm not okay with that. So that turns it into cheating. I just want to also note that there are, in Out of the Doghouse, Dr. Robb breaks down infidelity into 3 categories. And I think this is kind of important. They all hurt. The third one hurts more. We call this sexploration, sex for sport. Casual sex, anonymous sex, porn sex, webcam sex with people you're never going to meet. It's just about the orgasm, basically. There's no emotional connection. You often don't know the other person's name. And cheaters who engage in this behavior often say things like, I swear it wasn't cheating, honey. Those other people mean nothing to me. I don't even know their names. I don't have their phone number, nothing. Now the betrayed spouse will say, you're still cheating. Why were you keeping it secret if it didn't mean anything? So there's sexploration, and this tends to be actually, in terms of the actual behavior, the least hurtful of the behaviors, and still very hurtful. The next level is what we call booty calls. Booty calls are, I know your name, I got your phone number. If I'm a traveling salesman, when I'm in your town, I call you up, maybe we have dinner and then have sex. And, you know, there might be a little bit of friendship there. There might be a little bit of the date before the sex, but there's no real intimacy. Generally, both parties know that, you know, I'm in a relationship, you're in a relationship. This is only when it's convenient. You know, and again, the cheater will say, it's not an affair. It was only sex. You know, I don't have any feelings for this person. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. Guess what? It counts. If you want to know if it counts, ask your wife. Why are you keeping it secret? And then the third one, and this tends to be the most painful for a betrayed partner, is a full-blown romance. It's the long-term affair, or it's the serial affairs where I'm smitten, you know, and you know, I have an emotional connection with the affair partner. You know, I sneak off and have weekends with them. I tell you, I'm going on business and have a weekend with them. You know, the interesting thing here is a lot of the times the cheater, when he or she first gets into recovery, will struggle to decide between the marriage and the affair. And I just want to make it very clear that a marriage is a real world, real relationship with a real person and real ups and real downs. An affair is a fantasy. If Tammy and I are having an affair, we're having a lot of hotel sex. We're having some really nice dinners. I'm giving her some nice presents, and she never has to pick up my underwear. She doesn't know that I leave dirty dishes in the sink. I don't do either of those things, by the way. But you know, I don't have to take out the garbage. I don't have to, you know, hold her hand when she's sick and wants to go to the doctor, or, you know, she's not hanging pantyhose over my shower curtain, you know, none of that we have in a real world relationship. So we only get like the best of. It's like the Facebook version of a real world relationship. You know, Facebook, we don't put our crummy meal on Facebook. We put the fancy meal on Facebook. That's what an affair is. It's like the highlights. It's not real. And because of that, people who leave their primary partner to marry their affair partner, usually both people are cheating, by the way, although not always. But 90% of those affairs turned into a marriage, it's actually more than 90%, end up in divorce within 3 years because the fantasy pops. As soon as you're in the same house, the fantasy pops. But for a betrayed partner, these emotionally connected affairs are more hurtful, because usually the lies and the secrets are deeper and longer lasting. And number two, as I let, you know, my affair partner in emotionally and start sharing important thoughts and feelings and become vulnerable with my affair partner, I'm not doing it with my wife or my husband or my primary partner. And my primary partner will sense that. Even, you know, primary partners know that something is wrong even before they have a clue what's wrong. They know you're pulling away. They know you're shutting them down a little bit. They know there used to be a window here and now you've pulled the shade so they can't see in through that window anymore. And it's because I've opened a window over here and I've closed the window over here. And that's very, very hurtful for betrayed partners. And that's a really hard thing to get over. So anyway, that's my spiel on a really fast spiel on it, on what infidelity is and what different kinds of infidelity there are. Tim,
Yeah, no, I think you brought up a lot of really good points. And I was thinking, and the most painful that I hear about is when it's the double betrayal of, you know, and saying he and she, but when he's had an affair with my best friend, you know, my sister, you know, those type of, because then it's the double betrayal. You know, it's not just he cheated, somebody else who was supposed to care about me, you know, cheated. So, but I was thinking,
betrayed me, number one,
yeah.
And number two, somebody who I would have turned to for support, I can't, because they were party to the betrayal.
Yeah. When you were listing all the examples, I kept thinking, if the partner is sitting right there and sees all of these things, then it's probably not cheating. Dr. Rob has talked about there is no such thing as micro cheating, you know, like the looking at Instagram, you know, oh, it's just micro cheating. No, there's no such thing. It's cheating, you know. And I've heard partners of porn addicts struggle feeling like they they shouldn't feel as hurt as a sex addict's partner because there wasn't real sex. And I'm going, it's still a betrayal. Like if this is what you've agreed to in the relationship, then it still hurts and it's still a betrayal. I think the other thing is, because sometimes they'll go, well, she knew about, the porn or whatever. But sometimes there's if you don't let me watch porn, I'm going to go cheat. There's that, you better let me do this in order to keep me from not doing something worse,
Yeah. Relationship boundaries have to be mutually agreed upon without any type of coercion. So is it okay if I look at porn? No, I don't want you looking at porn. Well, if I don't look, as Tammy said, if I don't look at porn, then I may actually cheat. Oh, well, okay, I guess you can look at porn.
Yeah.
That's manipulation and coercion.
Well, and I hear often, and again, no judgment. We are really, we're here when things are problematic. But I've heard partners who have, watched porn, acted out sexually in a way that was not what they wanted to do, and they felt coerced into doing it. But it was like, well, I'm trying to, keep him from acting out. So like you just said, if sexual boundaries are mutually agreed upon and there is no power differential, there's no coercion, then then both of you are coming to the relationship in a more equal situation. But I really do think it is about the lies and secrets. If you're flirting, if I'm sitting here going, hey Scott, I'm going to flirt with this person, and you go, okay, well, that's a whole different thing. But I can guarantee that if I was flirting with somebody and that would not be okay with my boundary with my husband. That's just not, what, he would be comfortable with. So it really is, I need to respect myself. I need to respect the boundaries with my partner, and then I don't even have to worry about it if it's cheating or not, so.
And another thing about Dr. Rob's definition of infidelity, which is more about keeping secrets than actual behaviors, is, every couple can agree on their own relationship boundaries. My boundaries in my relationship will look, excuse me, different than Tammy's boundaries in her relationship, and they should, because we're different people in different relationships. If I'm married to someone and she likes to go salsa dancing and I hate salsa dancing, she's going to say, well, I'd love to go salsa dancing. Can I go without you? And I'm going to say yes. And she's going to say, men will ask me to dance. And I'm like, and my answer is going to be, dance away. Don't stick your tongue in their mouth, but dance away. Have a good time. I want you to have fun. Don't cheat on me. Dancing, not cheating for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was the jealous type, I would say, no, you cannot dance with other men. You must only dance with yourself, and which would make for a crummy relationship for her if she loved to go salsa dancing. So yeah, and a lot of younger people, online chatting, online gaming, pornography, it's just stuff that both genders grow up with now, and they're a lot looser about that in terms of boundaries. Like, my mother, who's 81, and my father, who just passed away, if he had ever looked at porn, she would have freaked out. Different generation. My niece, who just got married, may or may not care if her new husband sees that Playboy once in a while or whatever. I don't know. None of my business. But they may have a very different definition of infidelity just based on their age and their technical involvement. So as long as they're in agreement on it, great. Who am I to judge? So.
Well, and that, goes back to if you've got mutually agreed upon boundaries. But if it's something you're afraid to talk about, that's a problem. I mean, that's where the problem starts, is if you're afraid to talk about, I don't want to hurt you, so I'm not going to tell you that I want to go do this, and I'm going to go do it, but I'm not going to tell you because you'll be hurt. And I'm like, you're going to be really hurt when you find out. So
the guys in my work groups, we talk about denial in week 2 of all the work groups because it's so important. And I ask them, what's your go-to for denial? And 9 times out of 10, it's what she doesn't know can't possibly hurt her. Bullshit.
Wrong. Yeah.
Bullshit. What she doesn't know really, really hurts her. And when she finds out later, it's going to doubly hurt her or him or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And often, unfortunately, then the partners feel shame that how could I have been so deceived? And you talked about, partners like having having that little niggling feeling. And but I think addicts are so good, and or betrayers are so good at going, oh no, you know, of course I wouldn't, you know, of course I wouldn't do no, I really was on a business trip, and you know, whatever. And you want to trust and believe. And so the shame that partners, and they shouldn't, but they do take on, you know, as part of like, how did I not know? And you know, I feel like such a fool because this person's been deceiving me. I mean, it just layers on, you know, onto the betrayal. So, but it can be different. So we've got some questions. Can you explain about fantasy as porn when the porn addict is not actively looking at porn, but stores those images or uses me, his wife, in the name of his bucket list for the future relationship? Isn't that still fantasy?
This is a great question. Porn is a fantasy, okay? When I'm looking at porn, I'm looking at performers. I'm looking at actors, whether they're happy to be there or not. It's not real. And I'm creating a fantasy on top of that fantasy. And this is what I use to escape the stress and anxiety and whatever else it is I don't want to feel at that given time. So porn is a fantasy. But you know, Game of Thrones, is that porn? Whole lot of nudity, whole lot of sex, you know. I'm watching Game of Dragons or Game of Thrones or whatever it is, you know, Game of Thrones. That's not porn. I'm looking at Instagram, honey. That's not porn. Well, if I'm creating sexual fantasies about it, whether I'm masturbating in the moment or not, I'm using it like it's porn. I'm using it to relieve stress or to get my jollies or whatever. And I can store it away in my brain and use it later for masturbation fantasy, or for, you know, when I'm with my wife, I'm playing those fantasies in my head. And that's I call that cheating on your wife with your wife. Basically, you've turned your wife into an object and you're running porn clips, or, you know, what I call not porn clips in your head. And not porn can be, you know, going to the football game with your wife and sitting and ogling, you know, other women and filing those images away and, you know, playing a movie about them in your head later. So yeah, it's still fantasy, and I can still consider it a betrayer. If I am being sexual with my primary partner, I should be being sexual with my primary partner. Perhaps we should look each other in the eyes and have a conversation and laugh and connect. Well, I mean, healthy sex is connected sex. David and I have talked about healthy sex a lot, and we do talk about it can be way better than addictive sex. Addictive sex is all about intensity. It's a dopamine and adrenaline rush, and that's pretty much all we get in the neurochemicals. Connected sex, we get serotonin and oxytocin along with the dopamine and adrenaline. And even though it's not as intense, we don't get as much dopamine and as much adrenaline. The boost that we get from the serotonin and the oxytocin, because we feel connected with the other person, there's a different kind of intensity. And it's a much more enjoyable experience. You know, it's about a person rather than a body part or body parts. I don't know. I think I answered the question. I don't know.
You did, and you did a great job with it. And I was thinking, this one feels like I am the receptacle. I mean, that would be, but I know the one of the big challenges with porn is it's a zillion images, and those images can get stuck. And there are a number of people who don't even need to see the you know, they don't need to be watching it, because they can do that fantasy recall, you know. And so to stay present in the moment with the person that you're connected to is very different and challenging, you know, particularly early on to be able to do that. But you know, I mean, I think that's why, you know, masturbation can be in the inner circle or not in the inner circle, but it depends, because if you're going to fantasy recall on porn, then, you know, that's, you know, that is just about the same as watching the porn. So
yeah, I want to take a second to talk a little bit about porn addicts and sex addicts, because I am a recovering sex and porn addict. We get so used to that intensity, that supercharged intensity of the dopamine and adrenaline from, taboo sex, or I'll just use porn as the example. It's one image after another, and if this one's not great, the next one is, and if that one isn't, the next one is. And so there's that excitement on top of all of it. And then there's 100 different images flowing through our head, all kind of in a muddle. And we will end up having a really tough time performing sexually with our partner, our real world partner. And it's not that we don't find our real world partner attractive, or it's not that we don't love our real world partner. It's that we're not getting enough of a dopamine and adrenaline rush because we don't have 100 different things going through our head at the same time. And half of them are really taboo. And, so we don't get that rush. And it takes 6 months to a year for the brain to reset. So a lot of sex addicts and porn addicts, the first part of their recovery, they wonder if they're ever going to be able to perform sexually again. And the answer is yes. It's just going to take a while, and that's actually a good thing. It helps you stay sober. So yeah. And to get an erection and maintain an erection, they often have to replay porn clips in their mind, which is, just keeps the addiction alive. So we talk about that in the porn work group, by the way.
That starts tomorrow night
Tomorrow.
at 5 p.m. Pacific
Okay, I'm
time.
done advertising for tomorrow.
No, it's just sharing resources. So, okay, next question. Is it true, once a cheater, always a cheater?
Another great question. I just wrote something on this. It's not published yet, but earlier this week I was working on this particular question, and the answer is yes, unless the cheater does something about it. If I've cheated once, I am likely to cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat until I decide I don't want to cheat. I don't want to be a cheater anymore. That's not who I want to be. I love my partner enough that I need to stop this and repair my relationship, or I just don't want to be a person who lies and keeps secrets and can't be trusted anymore. And there's a lot of work to be done. And, you come here, you go to 12-step meetings, you come to treatment, you get a therapist, and, we don't stop lying all at once. Hopefully we can stop cheating, because the easiest way to ruin a good relationship is to get caught cheating and then cheating. That'll pretty much end it most of the time. But the occasional little slip and relapse. Oh my God, I looked at porn yesterday for 10 minutes. I am so sorry. That happens. But going out and starting a new full-blown affair or something, is never a good idea. But yes, cheaters can stop, but they have to want to. And bad news for betrayed partners, you cannot make your cheating partner stop cheating. Your cheating partner has to stop cheating on his or her own.
But I'm going to add to that, because people go, I know he has to want to stop, and I'm like, no. I mean, like, most of the people that come to us for treatment aren't like going, oh, I really want to be a better person. They're going, I have more severe negative consequences, like she's gonna divorce me, I'm gonna lose my job because I've been watching porn at work. I mean, there's something, licensure. I mean, there's something major that would be a negative consequence worse than not getting help and changing. So, but when I first read this, like you were saying, I often share, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if the person is not willing to step into that space and do something different, then they're going to continue to be a cheater, as long as until they change. I also think, Dr. Rob has talked about, people being emotionally immature. So I think that there are some people, that just plain need to emotionally grow up, and, that can start shifting things as well. But Scott and I are living proof that people can change. I mean, we live in recovery. We do life very differently than we did in our active addictions, thank goodness. So yeah, I really believe that people, can change given the tools and support and being willing to do the work to do it. Okay, next question. Does porn create a narcissistic bubble around you? How to pop it?
With both sex addiction and porn addiction, we talk about a bubble. I don't call it a narcissistic bubble. I call it a bubble. It's this neurochemical fog. I get, with porn addiction or sex addiction, I get triggered. I get some stress at work. I don't want to feel that. So I think, how can I not feel this? And this is not conscious. This happens really unconsciously. And I started having like a little sexual fantasy. And that kind of gets me out of my head. I have a daydream. I have a little daydream. And then I start playing with the daydream. And then before I know it, I'm online and I'm looking up prostitutes or I'm looking at porn. And I'm really in the bubble then, because, I'm rolling in my addiction. And the only way this is going to end is with me having an orgasm somewhere, somehow, or me getting, walked in on by my wife or arrested or something like that. I mean, once somebody's in the bubble, what we call the bubble, it is almost impossible to pop the bubble from the inside. It can be popped from the outside by, the partner or the police or the boss.
Police officers, yes, yeah.
Yeah, but if I'm in that bubble, I'm high. I mean, neurochemically at that point, my brain looks like I've been using cocaine. The brain of a cocaine addict and a sex and porn addict light up in the same exact ways. And by the way, the cocaine addict's brain lights up before cocaine is in his system. When he starts thinking about cocaine, when he goes to the dealer and he buys it, the palms are sweating, the heart's pounding. He doesn't notice the police officer parked right up front because he's in a bubble. He buys it, he goes to the car, he's got it in his pocket, he's driving to the hotel room where he's going to use. His brain is as high right then as it is when he actually starts using the drug. And sex addiction and porn addiction are kind of the same anticipatory high. Until if I'm a porn addict, I am high that same way. And I'm not, I'm acting out by looking at porn, but I'm, until I start masturbating, that's like I'm now putting cocaine in my system when I start to masturbate. But I'm high either way, and getting me out of that bubble is almost impossible. Addicts, for us we need to recognize I'm feeling stressed or undervalued or alone or afraid or bored. Boredom is a huge trigger for sex and porn addicts. These are intensity addictions. We like some intensity. So I'm feeling bored. When I recognize that feeling, the trigger, I have a chance to intervene on my own. I can pick up the phone and call somebody. I can sit down with my meditation book. I can go to a 12-step meeting. I can use any of 100 other tools of recovery. Once I slide forward into that daydreaming stage of fantasy, I still have a chance to stop it. I can use what we call the 3-second rule. I recognize I'm having a sexual fantasy. I give myself 3 seconds to get rid of it. I can snap a rubber band around my wrist to, break my chain of thought. I can pick up the phone again. Hundreds of tools of recovery. We all have our own toolkit that works for this, that works for us. I do gratitude lists, or I pick up the phone mostly. So that's how we can pop it. But once I'm in that bubble, it's a steep hill with a boulder on top. Trigger, it starts to wobble, but I can still shore it up and keep it in place. Daydreamy fantasy, it's wobbling a little more, but I can still keep it there. Once I'm in that bubble, the boulder's rolling. It's rolling down the hill, and it is not going to stop until it smashes me. It's going to run me over and everybody else in the way. Long-winded answer to a short question, but Tammy, do you have thoughts on that?
No, I agree with that. And I think it's really important, like you said, don't get into the bubble. So the measures that you talked about are like, oh, I'm in the vulnerable place. I'm about to create the bubble around myself. I need to take action to get out of that bubble. And, so having the tools, like you said, to stop it before that happens, is key, and we have more vulnerable times. If I'm hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or stressed, I am going to be more vulnerable to things, bothering me, or someone saying something and I take it the wrong way, et cetera. So I have to be, I think so much of this is being mindful and aware of where we are and why we take inventories and do gratitude lists and all of that, because, you know, in addiction, we are reactionary. I don't want to feel, I'm going to go numb out. I get, you know, somebody slighted me. So I'm going to go, I deserve to go act out. Oh, I got a promotion. Oh, I deserve to act out. So it's always reactionary. So being intentional is really what we learn to do in, you know, in recovery, so that we can choose not have things happen to us. Okay, next question. While on a recent trip with my SA spouse, he received a text message from someone that was only 38 miles away, or 3 miles away. I guess I'm not sure. I checked the phone log online because he continues to lie about everything. He said it was from one of those sites and he deleted it without showing me. Oh, that's okay. I Googled the phone number that sent text and the person's email came up under OkCupid and OnlyFans. I checked my husband's email and it did as well. My husband says he hasn't looked at porn or been on hookup for 4 years, but this email is only a year old. I don't think this text was a coincidence, as they were only 38 miles away from the hotel we were staying in. Your thoughts?
Tammy?
Oh, there's more to this. Also, he told me he has nothing to do with what people send him. He can stay off hookup and porn sites because how do they get his phone number? Please explain, as he says he didn't give out his phone number and email. I
Well,
don't
phone
believe
numbers and
him.
email, if
Yeah.
you're on if you were ever on a dating site, your info is out there. So go ahead, Tammy.
No, but yeah. First of all, that he says, you know, and he didn't tell you about it. If that had come through saying, this came through, I'm telling you about it, and here's what I'm doing to take care of that, blocking the numbers, etc. I'd change my email address. Goodness, you know, there'd be a completely new email address, and only people that were appropriate, like my sponsor and friends, you know, the good friends, not the ones that act out with me, would have those numbers. So to me, this is, you know, I guess I also don't know. He says he hasn't looked at porn or been on hookups for 4 years, but I don't hear anything about what he's doing for recovery. I don't hear, and you know, he's meeting with his sponsor once a week after 4 years. You know, he's going to multiple 12-step meetings every week. He's working with his therapist on recovery. You know, I don't hear any of that, and I realize you're just typing it in on this webinar, but what I hear is he lied about something, you know, and the only verification you have that he's not acting out is he says, and he lied to you before. And so I'm skeptical. Let's put it that way. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's a lot of it. You know, when I'm working with new guys, you know, it is change everything. Change your email, change your phone number, change your credit cards. I don't know if anybody's ever tried to get off of Facebook, but it's pretty much impossible. They insist that you go dormant, so your account still exists. And then if you ever decide you want to get back on, pop, there it is. You literally have to write a letter to them and say, no, I really want you to completely remove me from Facebook. Well, guess what? Dating sites and hookup apps are the same way. You have to contact them under the supervision of your 12-step sponsor or therapist, please, so that you don't act out while you're on there, and say, you need to ban me from your site. I am a sex addict. You must ban me from your site permanently. And then you go in and you change any credit cards that you ever used to pay for acting out. You change any email address. You change any phone number. You block on the new phone number and the new email, you block anybody who has your info. You just block them. Now, it sounds like he hasn't done that. I don't know what he has done. You know, I can tell you I have an email from the 90s that I still use because it's the one that my family knows. And in the junk email, I still get emails from porn sites. I haven't looked at porn in almost 20 years. I still get, so it goes to my junk email. You know, I don't care. I'm not going to open it up, but I'm also not accountable to a partner who's going through my junk email going, why is this still here? You know, I would send them a letter and saying, stop, no more, take me off your list. Yeah, hasn't looked at porn and been on hookup apps for 4 years, but this email is a year old. I, I don't even want to comment on that timing. I mean, I don't know. And I will also say that hookup apps in particular are geolocators. So they recognize when you're close, and they sort of announce that, hey, so-and-so's nearby. And so if he still has an account, whether it's an active account or not, it could trigger something like that.
Interesting. I didn't know
He
that.
needs to get the whole account off of there. He may have an inactive profile, or he may have an active profile and just not be on it anymore. That could trigger something like that. So it's not completely implausible, but he needs to do some work around distancing himself from those, and that involves, you know, emails, credit cards, possibly contacting OkCupid or whatever it is, and saying, you know, I no longer exist, no mas, you know, ban me. You literally have to ask them to ban you so that you can't go back on, by the way.
So, and I think where I picked up on this was at the beginning, where he continues to lie about everything, you know, so then it makes me believe that he's lying about this. So, I mean, if you were like, man, he's really doing his recovery work, and, you know, I see him changing, and, you know, we're really working towards having a, you know, a much different after 4 years, you know, like that should be in a solid recovery. Like you guys should be able to, you know, to be seeing good things happening for your relationship at that point. So what I hear though is 4 years later, he still lies about everything. And then there's this. So I did not know about the geolocator. So I stand corrected on that, you know, that could just pop up. It makes sense. Because I've had, you know, things where I'm like, how do they know? In fact, I just traveled and I started getting stuff from the city I was just at. And I was like, how did you know I was there? So, but yeah, so I get that. Yeah, I get that. But I think the biggest problem is when you are saying, I check his phone log because he continues to lie about everything. You know, how can you build trust? How can you build, you know, a relationship when you
betray partners? You've always got to trust your gut. Number one, if your gut tells you something's up with this, there's probably something up with it. And 4 years in, if you're still checking phone logs and all that stuff, he has not re-earned trust yet. So he's not doing something that he needs to do to make things right with you. And I think that's why Tami jumped on, well, what is he doing for his recovery? That's what's missing here, you know? Yeah.
And for you, what do you need to do for you to have healthy boundaries and safety for you? Because if he's still not, you know, if he's still not changing, what do you need to do to take care of you? So, okay. I guess there's a continuation, and then we're gonna go to the other question. This text message was from a guy, and his wife's info came in under the Stingers site. I feel really unsafe. This email had been when he originally caught. He changed a year ago. So how did they get the new email? Oh, Swingers. Oh, it was this? Okay, Stingers, not Swingers. I was like, I don't even know what a stinger is. Now I do know what swingers are. So, okay. Yeah, no, but trust that. I feel really unsafe. You know that. Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah, and I don't know how somebody would get. I know that there are technological things that can happen, but I also go, if he's lying about everything else, why would he be telling the truth about this that would be hurtful and painful for you? So, okay.
Yeah, look, I can track down somebody's email pretty easily, but I'm not going to go to that effort if I'm already on a swinger site. I mean, there's too many other fish in the sea there. So yeah, how did they get the new email? Very good question. Trust your gut.
My SA husband says he can masturbate without thinking about anyone or anything. I have a hard time believing that. Can it be true?
In my personal experience, no. I don't know, honestly. You know, Tami, do you have thoughts on that? I mean,
I was like, you know, I don't know. again, I would be suspect. I don't know how long he's been in recovery. Did he do a 90-day period of no masturbation? That would be telling to I think it would be one of those where what he says about that, I would be more interested in what do you see happening and what do you see changing for him on a recovery path. If he's still hanging on to masturbation without, and saying he doesn't think about anything or whatever, what is he doing it for? Is he calling his sponsor? Here's the thing, is he calling his sponsor before and after? If he's got the parameters set up, if he's doing this in secret and there's no plan for it to be done in a safe way as part of his recovery, that's very different. Dr. Rob has talked about, masturbation, if it's like dating yourself, that's a very different experience than using it as a dopamine. I want the relief. I want to get off, whatever. I'm stressed out. I'm going to, that's very different. So I would be suspect, but it would also depend on, like I said, if he's got the parameters set up, he's calling his sponsor before, he's calling his sponsor afterwards, that's a very different experience. So.
And I hope we can get a response to this either in the chat feature or the Q&A. Are you uncomfortable with him masturbating? If you are uncomfortable with him masturbating,
that's a good point.
Two of you need to have a conversation, and this should be a relationship boundary. And if he's, if you're uncomfortable with him masturbating, you're uncomfortable with him masturbating, period. And he can come up with all the reasons for him that it's okay for him, but it's like porn. Well, I can come up with 100 reasons why it's okay for me to look at porn. But at the end of the day, I can't because I'm a porn addict. And if I was in a relationship and my partner was uncomfortable with it, I would have to respect that. That's part of being in a mutually loving and beneficial and enjoyable relationship is, even if I would like to do this, if you don't want me to, I'm going to give on that. Particularly if I've cheated on you, I'm really going to give on sexual stuff. I'm going to say, okay, no masturbation. Can we revisit this in 6 months? But yeah. So yeah, bring it up, discuss it.
Yeah. But to your point, yeah, if the partner is not okay with it, then yes, it should be off the table for now. So interesting thing in the chat. What if the wife has an instinct that's wrong, and you are doing your program? Aren't you encouraging them to keep holding on to false beliefs by telling them to trust their guts? I'm thinking, so somebody who has lied and cheated for years, and the partners, we talk about it, it's 12 to 24 months after the behavior has stopped, after they are seeing that trust is really being rebuilt before they have some security. But to me, there's something missing, because if you are doing your program and you are really showing up and being trustworthy, I would, like my experience is the partners, start to feel that they have the ability to do that. Hopefully the partners are getting the support that they need in a pro-dependent aligned manner, have done, some EMDR or something, for the trauma that has been caused. But so to me, this is, there's not enough safety. There isn't communication, but just blowing off or just being dismissive to the partner. That feels like that would be hurtful to the relationship and building communication. To me, it'd be like, I understand, I understand that my past behavior has caused this. In this case, this is what happened, and I don't know how I can make you believe it. I'm going to work really hard at making sure that there are safety parameters in place so that, that you don't have to experience this again. Thoughts?
Yeah, that's a perfect answer, and I'm glad that you gave it before me. I know who asked this question, and I'm going to give him some grief when I see him on Monday. But because he's heard me answer this question before, and it's basically the same answer. You haven't re-earned trust yet. Usually it's 12 to 24 months, and that's if you do everything perfectly, and you and your partner are both working on not only the relationship but individual issues. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. And you know, the proper answer until you've re-earned trust is, I'm sorry you feel this way. All I can tell you is that I'm telling you the truth. Um, and I'm doing everything I can to re-earn your trust. I understand why you don't trust me, though. I cheated on you. I lied and I kept secrets and I cheated. So I understand
and I'm going to go
where you're
back
coming
to,
from.
yeah, but when you say, I'm sorry you feel this way, that's, I can say that in a very dismissive way. So I'm going to
Yes.
say, I'm sorry that my past behavior, you know, causes you to feel this way. So
Yes.
my past behavior is causing this, not I'm sorry you feel this way. You know,
Right. Thank
you're
you.
crazy, Scott. So
Yeah, thank you.
that's what it
Yeah,
would feel like. Yeah.
you all, you know, I always tell the guys, you gotta be really careful how you phrase stuff, because it sounds good as it comes out of your mouth, but it doesn't sound good as it goes into her ears. You know, because yeah. So yeah, I always suggest like pause, maybe write it down, maybe
Write it
run it
down.
by
Yeah.
somebody,
Yes.
make sure
And,
you get
and
it right.
yes. Yes. And it's
But
okay to say, I need to say this to you correctly. So it's going to sound stilted, but I want it to be, you know, the right thing and not me feeling
right.
like I'm reacting to the, you know, because I get nervous and I feel guilty and all of that. So I want to say this in a meaningful way. That's okay. It's like, you can be awkward about that, but get the wording right. Because otherwise, you know, yeah, I mean, otherwise, like if you said that to me, Scott, you know, I'm sorry you feel that way. I have every right to feel this way because you did it. You know, I mean, like that just, you know, keeps
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
going down.
Yeah. It's, I understand that you're upset and you're struggling to trust me right now. And I totally get it. It's, I caused this. I cheated. I lied. I kept secrets. I'm sorry. I'm trying to re-earn your trust. Um, do we need to set any boundaries around this that I can help you feel safer or whatever? At that point, then you, and if I phrase it like that, then we can actually have a conversation about, you know, hopefully. Now, sometimes people just want to fight. Sometimes addicts just want to fight. Sometimes betrayed partners want to fight. You know, and that can make recovery kind of difficult when one of us wants a fight.
Yeah.
But addicts, you know, we get defensive. I'm telling you the truth. You don't believe me, and my immediate reaction is to leap in and defend myself instead of to find some empathy for you, because you're not trusting me because you're in pain. I caused you pain. I need to understand that I caused you pain. I caused you to not trust me, instead of just defending myself and saying, what's wrong with you that you don't believe me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it really is actions, you know, I say this all the time, lips moving line, you know, it takes actions. And when somebody is, you know, when I see somebody that's going, you know, I understand that my actions caused you, you know, this pain, and this is difficult for me, but I'm going to try to step into the space. Man, I would be receptive to that, in that I see this person caring more about our relationship than just blowing me off and distancing me and going like, well, I'm not doing that anymore and you should trust me. No, you have proven that you are not trustworthy yet, you know, but hopefully with both of you, you know, getting help and support, you know, you find that path and eyes wide open, you know, can be on a different journey. So okay, so this stuff is now going in the chats. I kind of ignore those. So so anyway, any other questions? We got 5 more minutes. So yeah, those are the type of women that catch my eye. Oh, that would be not good too. Wow, saying I love your butt. Yeah, yeah. If you want to build a healthy relationship with your partner, don't screw it up by saying stupid things. So
Oh, Lordy. All right.
okay. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for letting
Yeah.
me pop in. And for betrayed partners, I got a surprise for you. Scott is going to join. He's going to graciously. He's going to sub in on Sunday night, so he will be there to answer questions, but hold the space because I'm traveling and Angela is traveling as well. So he'll be there just one night. So it's like a
Yeah.
stand-up comedy, one night only.
Yeah.
So.
Don't forget to tip the waiters and waitresses.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay,
So,
everybody.
all right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Tammy,
Bye.
thank you for filling in. We'll see
Always a
everybody next week.
pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye.